And today, we are adventuring on the beautiful Merritt's Mill Pond in Marianna, Florida.
This is a cave diving story unlike anything I've previously told. A diver named Raymond and his family entered one of the most challenging and deadly caves in the world. Accompanying Raymond was his daughter, Alexandra, and his son. Cave diving is a very dangerous exploration to attempt. The crystal clear waters of Twin Caves can be alluring to divers, but its beauty masks dangers that only trained and experienced divers are aware of. To start with, maze-like caves are usually totally black, which can be disorienting and confusing, and silt particles at the bottom could minimize visibility. In addition, the Twin Caves is rugged and has features that damage scuba gear and can cause diving equipment failures. A cave explorer, Andy Pitkin, once recounted his experience. The rapidly flowing spring water often contains rock and shell particles which can find their way into every inch of gear, causing diving equipment to jam. Twin Caves drains into Merritt's Mill Pond in Jackson County, located just east of Marianna, Florida. The scenery of the Twin Caves is breathtaking, and this might explain why Raymond and his family attempted to dive in despite the risks. After hearing a couple of fascinating stories about the Twin Caves, Raymond and his family wanted to experience it themselves. On the dive day, the water was crystal clear with many shades of blue. The group put on their gear, wished each other luck, and slowly dipped below the water. They then swam to the entrance of Twin Caves, where they could see another party of divers coming out of the tunnel through the crystal clear water. The first person to enter the cave was Alexandra, who was shortly followed by her father and her brother. She was carrying a pistol-grip dive light and a single tank. She was amazed at the cave's beauty when her light illuminated a portion of it. The cave has amazing characteristics that made diving a lot of fun. To avoid damaging her equipment, Alexandra's major concern was to avoid swimming too close to the sides. She also wanted to make sure that her father and brother stayed along the dive line and just behind her. She used an up and down flutter kick to go through the cave, stirring up the silt that was starting to accumulate and obstruct her vision. She assumed that if she kept swimming, the level of silt would eventually reduce, but it only got worse. Suddenly, it dawned on her that she couldn't see anything. Her breathing got heavy and shaky as she suddenly found herself in a dangerous situation. With all this happening, she decided to turn around to see if her father and her brother were still behind her. However, they were not there. They must have also lost their way between all the silt flying everywhere. This got her tensed up and she started kicking even harder, raising more silt to the surface in the process. Eventually, she could not see her hands in front of her face. As this was happening, the other group of divers that Alexandra met earlier began to observe the massive silt cloud, but lost sight of Alexandra, her dad, and her brother. The leader of this group, Andrea, figured that Alexandra and her family must have made it out, or at least Andrea was hoping that was the case. Andrea and her crew realized that they were in a dangerous situation and that they needed to get past the silt and out of the cave immediately. Andrea signaled to her husband and her friend to follow her closely, and with a bit of luck on their side, they got out of the silted area before they could get trapped. As the silt filled up most of the cave, Raymond lost track of Alexandra and he pushed further into the cave to look for his daughter. Luckily, he found her and signaled to her that they needed to get out immediately. They were beside each other, but they could barely see each other's faces. This is when panic set in. Raymond grabbed his daughter as he guessed which direction was the entrance of the cave, and they started swimming in that direction. Unfortunately, they had no idea which way was out as they were blinded by the silt. As they were swimming, Raymond found a wall and they moved along it by feeling it. The danger here is that if they were to mistakenly hit something sharp and it cut or pulled out their diving gear, they would be in a life or death situation. In a bid to make sure this didn't happen, Raymond let go of Alexandra to quickly adjust his air tank inline to protect his gear. When he reached back for her, he couldn't find her. He realized that the situation had worsened, and in the heat of the moment, he decided to continue along the wall, hoping that Alexandra had done the same. He made significant progress, and with each passing moment, he could see that the silt was starting to clear out, which gave him a huge sigh of relief. He was able to reach the surface, and he took a deep breath of fresh air as he stepped out of the water. As he was treading water, he looked around for his daughter, Alexandra, but he couldn't find her anywhere. Before Raymond got out of the cave, Andrea and her group of divers bumped into something. It was Raymond's son. He grabbed Andrea and she gave him the thumbs up to leave the cave. Raymond's son, Andrea, and her husband were able to get out of the cave before they were in any danger, albeit by a stroke of luck. Raymond's son urged Andrea and her husband to call emergency services, as the rest of his family may be trapped inside the twin caves. As they were talking, Raymond swam towards them and asked if anyone had seen Alexandra. They all said no. Fear struck Raymond as he realized that his daughter may be trapped in the cave's blackout. Raymond began frantically searching the entrance of the cave for any signs of his daughter. However, Andrea and her husband were able to calm him down, and they put a call through to cave rescue specialist Ed Sorensen. When he got there, he changed into his scuba gear and entered the water. At first, it was hard to find the entrance as it was still silted. He eventually found the entrance, and as he entered, he tied on a primary reel using the go dive line and started making a search pattern. As he swept his arms in the water, he felt nothing, and it seemed like time was running out. While he was searching, Alexandra found an air pocket in the cave, though she didn't enter the air pockets with a lot of carbon monoxide. Ed still had not found anything at this point, and his air was running out. Suddenly, his arm hit something, and he swam toward it to take a closer look. It was Alexandra's leg. He then swam up to the air pocket where he met her crying. His priority was to do his best to keep her from panicking, as that could make the situation worse for the both of them. Ed decided the best way was to follow the emergency line that he had tied to the outside of the cave, and then things became worse. They found themselves far from the exit, and their reel got tangled with Alexandra. Throughout the trip back, Ed tried to calm her down by assuring her that he would bring her home safely. He ditched the line and cut Alexandra free, which meant that they were now swimming blind. However, due to Ed's familiarity with the twin caves, he was able to navigate his way out with Alexandra only using his intuition. Do you think they could have avoided this situation? I hope you enjoyed this video. Dive deeper into the channel for more content like this, but don't get stuck. See you on our next dive.